This is Philippians 3 and 14. And it says, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh in Yahawashi HaMashiach. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. All right. And going into that title, all right, press toward the MARK, all right, the mark, which is not speaking of the RFID, okay? It's not speaking of the Charagma, all right? This mark, all right, this MARK that's being spoken of, all right, is a different type of mark that's being spoken of, all right? And when you go into that word, mark, it goes into scopos, I believe it is. Let me make sure. Yeah, scopus. Let's see.
Strong's G 4649. Scapas.
Right. And it says an observer or a watchman. All right, because that's what we are. We are watchmen onto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah. We are observers of what's being done out here in society. All right, we're observing things through the spirit, as the scriptures say. All right, he is that is spiritual, right? Judgeth all things. So we're able to observe things through the spirit on a daily basis. All right, so we have to continually keep being watchmen. All right, making it plain upon the tables, all right, of prophecy. All right, but then it says the distant mark looked at, the goal or end one has in view, you see, and we know that the end is here. All right, the end is manifest, and we know that we have the victory through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai if we can just continue to push through it. You see, let's grab this real quick. This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 15 and let me grab this first. Hold on real quick. All right, because like I said, the victory is already here, given to us through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, which is our author and finisher, all right, of all things. All right, this is 1 Corinthians 15 and 57. I was in the right chapter, just in the wrong verse. But thanks be to Yahweh, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. All right, and ultimately the victory is going to be us swallowing up death, being swallowed up in victory, okay, because us doing the righteous thing, all right, and the Lord having mercy upon us, he's going to give us as a reward, all right, a blessed and glorious body like unto his. All right, we're no longer going to have that vile body. All right, so when we have that blessed and glorious body, okay, that means that we have conquered sin. All right, so no more will we be failures. You see, we will be what? We will be winners. We will be victorious. All right, and us being victorious, we're not going to be able to die no more. We're not going to be living in these everlasting chains of darkness, okay, because death is going to be swallowed up, all right, in victory. Why? Because the wages of sin is death, okay, but us not sinning no more, all right, is going to be the true victory. And that's why we're going to have the fruit and treasure of immortality, you see, and that's what the true victory is about. So we have to press toward that victory. We have to press toward that finish line, okay, and not give up. All right, let's grab this. This is Hebrews 12 and 2. Looking onto Yahweh Shai, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of Yahweh. You see, and by us basically carrying our cross, all right, which is a thing that we have to do on a daily basis, man. We have to carry, okay, our cross, okay, bear our cross. All right, let me see, grab that real quick. This is Luke 14 and 27. And whosoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be his disciple. You see? So again, we have to what? Carry our cross on a daily basis. Let me grab something else, right? We have to carry our cross, KJV, Matthew. This is Matthew 16.
Jesus said in Matthew, carrying your cross means
Matthew, right? 16 and 24. And then Yahawashi said unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Okay. And as a matter of fact, there's one that says it, carry your cross daily. All right. But let me see what this AI overview says, right? If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Meaning true discipleship involves self-denial, embracing hardships and Yahweh's will over personal desires and following Hamashiach daily. You see, surrendering your life to him even onto suffering, just as he did for humanity. Okay. So, carry your cross daily, KJV. Yeah, Luke 9 and 23. That's the one I really wanted. All right. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Okay. So we have to do, this is a daily thing, man. And as long as you do this on a daily basis, all right, the victory is yours because the victory is already there. It's already won. All right. It's already written. Okay. We just have to play out our lots. We have to play out our role. All right. We have to finish the course. Finish the course, KJV. All right. This is 2 Timothy 4 and 7. And it says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept my faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord Yahawashi, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing. Okay. And that's what we strive for, that when Yahawashi cracks them clouds, right, we are exalted after the Lord is exalted, because all praises always go to Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. But in due time, all right, our Lord is going to exalt us for the good works that we have done. All right, this is 1 John 3 and 1. Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Yahweh. See, that's that we want to be called the sons of Yahweh, man. We want to be found worthy, and Lord willing, we're those men. All right, that's pressing toward that goal. Okay, that we should be called the sons of Yahweh. Therefore, the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of Yahweh, and it does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that has this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. You see? So let's go back to Philippians 3, right? And let's take it to that word mark again, right? All right, the interlinear, that word was skopos, right? And it said the distant mark looked at, the goal or end one has in view. Okay, and we see the view, right? We could see the view that we look forward to. All right, and that's salvation. Okay, Yahawashi, because Yahawashi is salvation, right? Strong's definition says idea of concealment, compare a watch, goal, mark. All right, nothing much on there. All right, let me see what says here. The word skopos goes into skopto, which means a verb, right? It says to dig. All right, so you've heard that saying in the world, you know, when you're playing sports, you got to dig in. All right, that's what it is about, man. We have to dig in these last minutes of the game. You see. So we have to, you know, remember, this is a race. This is a race that we're constantly running. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's grab that real quick through the spirit. This is 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter. Okay. And we have to put our bodies into subjection, all right, to do and finish the course of Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. All right. Finish the test. Okay. let's grab 24. It says, know ye not that that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that you may obtain. And every man that strives for the mastery is temperate. All right, meaning what? Moderate, balanced in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. All right, because you got people that do it for the corruptible crown of the world. You see, we're not doing anything for a corruptible crown. We're doing it for an incorruptible crown. All right, immortality. So it requires you to have an incorruptible body, an incorruptible mindset. You see, Shalom Malak Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. All right, it says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. All right, meaning that what? You're gonna do this, you're gonna fight the good fight of faith, man. Okay, you're not gonna be unconfident in this truth, man. You're gonna be confident the whole way up. All right, persevering through thick and thin. Okay, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, meaning what? That you don't do this for nothing. You see, because when you beat in the air in a real fight, right? You just swinging and hitting nothing. You see, you're gonna make sure that you hit, that you roll with the punches. You see, so you're doing it for that that incorruptible crown. It says, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. You see, meaning what? You're gonna have discipline in finishing that course and finishing that race, because that's what it's about. All right, it's about having discipline. All right, once you take away discipline out of this truth, man, you just, everything could just fall apart. You see, so you have to be as disciplined as you possibly can to the best of your ability. Okay, it says, lest that by any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Yeah, you know, you could be one that just teaches the word. All right, and you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, behind cameras, right? And you're making yourself a true castaway. All right, scriptures also tell you it's how's that go? It's in the tip of my tongue. It's unprofitable to himself. That's how it ends. Let's grab that real quick. There's one that teaches many. That's what it is. Unprofitable to himself, KJV. This is Ecclesiasticus 37:19. There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that showeth wisdom in words and is hated. Hold on, Salaki, I think I went too far. Yeah, I went too far on that. But I'm gonna read that. It says, there is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that showeth wisdom in words and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. Okay. But the point is, all right, you can be one that teaches and is wise, all right, but yet you're unprofitable to yourself, you see? So you're really not about this truth, all right? And remember, you have to make sure that you are one that's bringing out the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, representing, all right, with your mouth, but also representing when you're off camera, okay? Because then you become what? You become one that is unprofitable to himself, okay? And you're cast into the fire also, you see? So it's important that you have both roles, all right, are being played, you know, to the best of your ability. That's you striving for the masteries, all right? It's like if you're going to be a basketball player and you're trying to make it into, you know, we just using that as an example, you're trying to make it into the NBA, well, you're gonna bust your ass to win that position, okay? You're gonna do everything in your nature, right, to make yourself better. So it's the same thing when we're striving ourselves for the mastery, you see? So let's go back to Philippians, all right, which I'll grab it up from a little bit up. All right, this is Philippians 3, and let's start it from 8. Okay. And it says, take it from 7. It says, but what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach. All right, because everything here is worthless. All right, the only thing that's worth something is this truth and you having that crown. Yeah, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Yahawashi Hamashiach, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach. Okay, and that's what you want to do. You want to win Yahawashi Hamashiach, man. Okay, and by you winning, all right, him over with this knowledge, you are going to have the prize. That is you setting your goal toward the prize. Okay, that's you having the victory and him being the author and the finisher of our faith. You see, it says that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. All right, and that's what we want. We want to have the Lord show us mercy, all right, and being able, all right, to be given into glorious bodies. You see, getting these vile bodies taken out of us, right, and giving us getting a new body, a glorious body like unto himself, right? It says, not as though I already attained, either were already perfect. All right, let me read that again. And it says right here, pressing toward the goal. So that's what we're doing. We're pressing toward the goal, that mark. All right, ultimately the mark of exemption. You see, that Tawah. So we can be exempt from judgment when the time comes. Okay, it says, not as though I already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Yahawashi Hamashiach. All right, a better way to listen to look at it says in the NLT, I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection, but I press on to possess that perfection for which Yahawashi Hamashiach first possessed me. You see, so even though the victory's there, even though it's all predestinated and written, all right, you still have to play it out. You still have to put on as the elect, all right, as prisoners of hope. Okay, you have to show the good works along with your faith. It says, brethren, I count not myself to be apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth onto those things which are before. You see, and that's what we have to do. We have to forget about everything on this side, man, and look for the things ahead. All right, setting your affections on the things above, as the scriptures say. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's grab Matthew 6:19, and it says, hold on, it's loading up. 6:19, and it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also, meaning your mind. Okay, let's grab, let me see, I think there's another one that could go with that. Let me see in the cross reference. I know there's one in here. And that's why it tells you, seek ye the kingdom first, you know, and all these things shall be given unto you. So you want to seek the kingdom at the end of the day first before anything. All right, this truth goes and that's a heavy spirit that's out right now. A lot of brothers through the spirits coming out with that type of topic. All right, saying seek the kingdom first, man. That this truth comes first before anything. That's you pressing toward that goal. That's you pressing toward that mark. Okay, because that's the finish line. That's the only thing that matters. So anything outside of this race, all right, and your eyes being focused on the finish line, man, is going to slow you down. You see, and it's a metaphoric thing, right? Metaphoric thing that is being spoken of a race. All right, but as a race, you know, we have to continually just keep pushing through that race, man. Okay, to get to that finish line. You don't want to be one that started the race, man, but halfway down the race, or you know, towards the end of the race, your calf muscles and your hamstrings give out, you know, and you end up falling off. You see, so you have to make sure that you push through it to the best of your ability, man. All right. Let's see. Seek the things in heaven, KJV. I believe that's how it goes.
The KJV phrase, seek the things in heaven, from Colossians chapter 3, verses 1 to 2, encourages believers to focus on heavenly things.
No, that's not the one, because I already quoted that. I think it's in Psalms for some reason. Let me see. Matter of fact, I'll grab these right here through the Spirit. It didn't come up, but that's all right. I'll grab this. This is Psalms 27:4. It says, seek after that I may dwell in the house of the Lord Yahweh, right? Psalms 105:4. It says, seek the Lord Yahweh and his strength, seek his face continually. You see? So seeking his face continually, all right, is you, all right, pressing towards the goal, pressing towards that salvation, okay? And then anything that's in your way, all right, you just cast your burdens upon the Lord, right? And then he will sustain you, okay? So let's go back to Philippians 3:12, pressing toward the goal, not as though I had already attained, either were already perfect, but I follow after, if that I may apprehend that which also I am apprehended of Yahawashi and Mashiach. Brethren, I count not myself to be apprehended, all right, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching for those things which are before, I press toward the mark for the prize, okay, of the high calling of Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. Let's go into that word prize. All right, that word prize goes into Brabian, right? Brabian.
Strong's G 1017.
Brabian. It says the award to the victor in the games, a prize. You see, so we're pushing for the reward that the Lord has for us. Metaphorically, it says of the heavenly reward for Christian character. All right, which, you know, we are the true Christians, man. All right, we are the true believers in Yahawashi HaMashiach. So we're pushing. All right, this is why we're putting spiritual money in our spiritual bank account, right? So we can have a heavenly reward. All right, for you having the Yahawashi's character, okay? Because the Lord finds us worthy when we are the spitting image of him. So when we are the character of Yahawashi, that's when he finds you worthy to have that prize, right? So let's go back out of that. All right, let me go real quick back to that word scopos, right? Because there was another word I seen there. So you had scopos, which meant the distant mark looked at and the goal and the end one has in view. All right. Then that word scopos goes into scapto, which is two words to it, right? So it's a compound word. So you got scapto, which means to dig. All right. So we're going to dig in to the end, right? And then there's another word, all right, that goes into skapasma, all right, which says a covering, clothing. Okay, so we're pushing to have the covering, all right, of Yahweh Bashem Yahawashi. Then it says down at the bottom, it says clothing, raiment. All right, we're doing it to have that glorious robe, as the scriptures say. Let me grab that real quick. All right, glorious robe, KJV. This is Ecclesiasticus 27:8. If thou followest righteousness, thou shalt obtain her and put her on as a glorious long robe. You see? So you want to put that robe on. All right, it says, praise no man. Let's take it up one. Praise no man before thou hearest him speak, for this is the trial of men. If thou followest righteousness, thou shalt obtain her and put her on as a glorious robe. All right, because you want to what? Keep your garments. All right, meaning that you have your holy garments on. All right, let's grab that. Garments. Revelations 16 and 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Okay, so you having that garment. All right, let's see what that word garments means. All right, garments goes into, all right, a cloak. All right, yeah, you're gonna have a cloak for your sins. Okay, let's see what else it says here. Apparel, clothes, garment, raiment, robe, vesture. All right, not too much. All right, but let's check this out. Let's go to Isaiah 30:1. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit. You see, so by you covering with Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, right, your spirit is covered, all right, with righteousness. You're covered under Yahweh Shai's blood. You see, because the Lord bought us back in blood. All right, so when you do the will of the Lord, right, you're covered by his blood. You're covered for you to have to be forgiven of everything you have done, of all your sins. You know, you're cleansed. So you have to have that covering, okay, of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, which is ultimately that what? That the Wah. You see? So let's go back to Philippians. All right, let me see if there was a little bit more on that word skapos, which went into skapamas. All right, skapasma, right? A covering, clothing. All right, that was pretty much it. As a matter of fact, let me see. There's one more root word that goes into it. Actually stopped right there. Kind of repeated itself. But again, you have to have the covering of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai to protect you. All right. So with that being said, let's finish that up. I'll pretty much close it out. All right. So it says, I press toward the mark for the prize. Okay. Let me make sure prize didn't have an extra root word in there. I don't think it did. All right. Which was Brabian. And no, there was nothing else. All right, cool. So it says, for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And to be perfect is what? To be separate, all right, from everything else. The Lord said, be ye separate, right? And I will receive you, meaning what? You will be holy. So you have to be holy, separated from the world, to be holy, to receive that covering, right? It says, let us therefore be as many as be let us therefore as many as be perfect, be thus minded. And if anything ye be otherwise minded, Yahweh shall reveal even this unto you. Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule. Let us mind the same thing. Okay, meaning what? All right, that we're gonna walk the walk, talk the talk. You see, it says, let me grab in the NLT, going for 15. It says, let all who are spiritually mature agree on these things. If you disagree on some point, I believe Yahweh will make it plain to you. But we must hold on to the progress we have already made. Yeah. Remember, the Lord said that your labor and love, right, is not going to be forgotten. All right. Let's grab that. This is 1 Corinthians 15:58. And it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast and unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord Yahawashi. You see? So we're not doing this for nothing, man. We're doing it for the righteous reward. Okay. Matter of fact, another one that comes up to mind, being steadfast and unmovable. It said, let me read that one more time. All right. It said, but we must hold on to the progress we have already made. Yeah, it tells you in the scriptures, Revelations, the 3rd chapter. Okay. It said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, right? I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, right? And it said, that no man snatch your crown. You see? Let's grab that real quick. Revelations 3:11. And it says, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast, which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. See, hold that fast means to hold that progress that you have, the progress that the Lord has given you. You see? Everything that you've learned in this truth alone. You see, you don't let it go. Okay, you have to hold on to that no man take thy crown. Because once you lose the works, okay, you lost your crown. You see? So you have to hold on to it. Right? So it says, 17, brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk as ye have us for an example. Okay? So you're going to mark them with what? The Torah. All right, we're going to be the ones that stand stiffly for the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi. So we're going to be marked as winners, right? Yahawashi in the chariot, right, is going to have the ceremony, and he's going to crown you. You see, with your reward, which is that crown of everlasting life. You see, it says, for many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Hamashiach. So let's grab that from the NLT. Dear brothers and sisters, pattern your lives after mine. Okay. And that's what we're supposed to be, the spitting image of Yahawashi. All right. Matter of fact, let me see. This is 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the power of this world, that's not the one I wanted, but let's take that because there's a point in there at the end. In the whom the God of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not. All right, which is talking about, you know, Esau blinding the minds that those that don't believe, right? Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine up onto us. You see? So that's what you want to be. You want to have the image of Yahweh, Yahawashi. All right, there's a better one than that. This is gonna be a hard one to find though. Yeah, this is Colossians 3:10. And let's grab it. Hold on real quick. Let's see if there's enough. All right, so let me grab. I got 2 of them here. This is 2 Corinthians 3:18. Right? It says, let's take it from 17. Now the Lord Yahawashi is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But we all with open face beholding as in a glass, but we all with open face beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord Yahawashi, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord Yahawashi. You see, NLT says, so all of us whom have had the veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord Yahawashi, and the Lord Yahawashi, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like him as we are changed into his glorious image. You see? So we want to be that image of Yahawashi. All right. Now this is Colossians 3 and 10. Right. Yeah. And have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. You see? So you want to put on the image, all right, after that new man, just like Yahawashi was made a new man. All right. He went from earthy to being what? All right. Spiritual. All right. Let's jump to 12. Put on, therefore, as the elect of Yahweh, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Hamashiach forgave you, so also do you. All right. And above all these things, put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. All right. But the point is, put on as the elect, okay, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right. So let's grab back to Philippians 3 and where was I? 17. Dear brothers and sisters, pattern your lives after mine. Learn from those who follow our example. For I have told you often before, and I say it again with tears in my eyes, that there are many whose conduct shows they are really enemies of the cross of Hamashiach. All right. And you see those people being exposed more and more today. All right. Because here it is, we're in the middle of crunch time of all these things happening, right? And all hell breaking loose. But you got all these niggas that are anti-Hamashiach, man, coming up against the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But those that are pressing toward the goal, all right, are going to stay stronger. They're going to wax stronger and stronger in the spirit, all right? Showing that they are that spitting image of the Lord, okay? Let me grab this real quick. Malachi, all right? Malachi, I think it's the 3rd chapter. All right. Damn, there's another one that's bothering me in my head. Let me see something. Because there's another one that says the spitting, it's not, it doesn't say it directly like that, the spitting image, but it's talking about being the image of Yahawashi. Okay. But let me see. It's not coming up. Cool. It's all right. I'm not even going to read Malachi. All right. So let's finish that up in Philippians, right? This is the Philippians 3 and 19, whose end is destruction. All right. Talking about the enemies of the cross, whose end is destruction, whose Yahweh is in their Salakia, whose end is destruction, whose power is in their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. Yeah, because that's what they're about. They're about the earthy things, man. All right. Those that are of the flesh, right, are mind the things of the flesh, and those that are the spirit mind the things of the spirit. Okay. So those that live in the flesh cannot please Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay. You have to refrain from your appetites. You have to get away from the earthly things, man. Because this is a spiritual thing before anything. Okay. So it says, for our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yahawashi HaMashiach, who shall change our vile body and it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body. Okay. Meaning what? That spitting image, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. Okay. NLT says he will take our weak mortal bodies and change them into glorious bodies like his own, using the same power which he will bring everything under his control. All right. Yeah, because it's all about Yahweh Bashem Yahushua controlling us. That's why you have to walk in the spirit mentally, because then you are programmed through the spirit at all times. You see, because the Lord is what controls your steps. Man's goings is of the Lord. So how can a man understand his own way? You see, So we have to make sure that we press toward that goal, always fighting for the love of Hamashiach and not be separated from it. So by you doing that, you will attain the prize that is coming, you see? And that's what we want. We just want mercy, all right, and be able to hear the words, good and faithful servant, man. And when you hear that, all right, hey, man, it's going to be a beautiful day. That's going to be the tears that come out of you right there, man. The day that we have to be crowned through the Spirit, all right, for going through all the shit we went through on this side and was steadfast and unmovable, all right, rooted and grounded in faith. You see, at the end, all right, the true tears, all right, is going to come. Because, see, right now, there's no time for tears, man. We have to be men, all right? But, see, the true tears is going to be when we receive that prize, you know? Just like even when you seen back in the day, you don't see it so much now because fucking sports is dead, all right? That shit is just entertainment now. But if you see how sports were played back in the day, you will see that when people won championships back in the day, I'm talking about, you know, 80s, man, 70s, you know, you will see people cry when they win that prize, when they won the trophy, when they won the championship. That's how we're going to be, man. When we win, all right, this battle that we're facing through, right? Because we're in a fucking condition of the battle every day, man. So we're going through all types of, you know, plateaus and rocks and mountains, you know, we're going through all types of steps just for us to reach a certain prize, all right? And all you have is constantly Satan up your ass trying to break you down from winning that prize, man. You know, it's like you going through that big ass remember American Gladiators? They had the Crag Rock. I think it was American Gladiators, was it? Oh no, it wasn't that. It was what am I thinking about? That little Nickelodeon show. I think it's damn, what is it? They used to have the blue barracudas, the silverback monkeys. I think it's called Guts. Is it Guts? And they will climb to the top of that mountain, you know, the Crag Rock, the Cracked Rock, the Crack Mountain, you know. That's what you're doing, man. You're going through all these different types of ups and downs, man, trying to get to the top, all right, of that mountain, all right, to press that button, you see, and get that and gain that reward, all right? Or like a championship game, you're trying to win it. And when you do, man, you feel good at the end. Tears coming out of you, tears of joy, tears of victory, you see? And that's what we want. We want that true victory so we can finally have that rest, because we labor to enter into that rest. And once you know how it is, once you finish the task that was the hardest task ever, at the end, you're like, finally. That's how we gonna feel when we win it, man. When we get this victory, you know, the victory's there. We just got to play out our lot, man. We got to play out the role, you know. So that's what we hope for, man. And just keep pressing toward the mark of Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai, man, which is, you know, keeping ourselves focused on the prize. All right, as the scriptures say, if our whole if our eyes be single, right, then our whole body will be filled with light. Okay, meaning what? Your eye being single, meaning focused, all right, on the mission. All right, so your body will be filled with light, and then you can complete that mission that's given to you, man. And that's what we want to do, finish the course. All right, so that's pretty much the point through the Spirit. Lord willing, Shalom Malak, Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, Akim, that's on the comment boards. All right. Yeah, but I still see you pushing all these years. Hey, man, call Elohim La, Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai. And that's all we could do, man, is keep pushing. You know, like I said, we be having ups and downs, man. We go through it. All right. But it's about just being fighting with perseverance, man, as the scriptures say, you know, making all supplication. All right. Let's grab that real quick. 6 and in Ephesians 6 and 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Standing therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, all right, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. You know, I done got smacked with hella darts. But you know what? Through the spirit and power of Yahawah B'Shem Yahweh Shai, just fighting through it. You know, those darts, you know, they only hit you for a second, All right, but you keep going, you know, because you're girded up with the armor of truth, man. And that's what makes us keep pushing, you know, especially when you see prophecy happening, you know, even the things that we go through, man. Some of these things we have to go through to keep us in check, to remind us that this shit is real, you know. And the more you look at it and the longer you're in this truth, man, you realize, man, there is nothing left here, you know, in this earth, period, man. You know, so, hey, it's good to see you still, too, because I do remember you coming on my comment boards way back. You know what I mean? And I know now you're out there teaching because I see your videos. I see how, because you follow, what's the brother out there in London, Daniel Allah be posting your videos. So I'll be watching your videos. And it's beautiful to see brothers out there, you know, still laboring amongst each other. You know, I remember when I first came into this truth, I met a lot of people through Instagram and you know, I seen how brothers was following each other. And now you see brothers that were once following, now they out there mighty through the spirit. And that's your power right there, man. Call Elohim La Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you know. And for those that are still new, you know, eventually you're gonna be out there through the spirit too, you know. Even if you don't get there, it's about just keeping your eyes on the prize, man, and doing the will of the Lord to the best of your ability through the spirit, man, you know. And even if you have to, you know, you don't have so much knowledge yet, you know, hey, Pastor Tahar has always said it, man, go out there if you know 3 scriptures, man, and preach them 3 scriptures, you know. It's about presenting your body as a living sacrifice, man, because presenting your body as a living sacrifice also helps you make it, you know, press toward your goal, you know, because that's the main thing is your body has to be made a sacrifice, just like Yahawashi was made a sacrifice. All right. So it's beautiful to see you brothers, you know, still laboring in the faith and still, you know, still together through the spirit. And that's the beauty of it, man. You know, as the scriptures say, let unity through the brethren continue, man. You know, brotherly love continue. And that's what it's about. The Lord loves brotherly love, man. That's charity right there. Charity cover a multitude of sins, you know. But hey, call Elohim La Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Barakatat to you and your households, and continue this fight through the spirit, you know, fight the good fight of faith. And we almost up out of here, Baba Ball. So with that being said, Barakatat Yahweh, Barakatat Yahweh Shai, call Elohim La Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who grew well, and the like-minded brothers. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Shalom.